Okay. Thank you, Dr. Sagarika, for having me there as a co-instructor in your course. A very challenging course because you're talking about the different challenges faced by us. So my topic is neurological and psychological disorders, relevance and association with glaucoma. Now, the latest understanding about glaucoma has changed. It keeps evolving with time. And now there's so much evidence that it's a chronic neurodegenerative disorder, and it's related to the other diseases like Alzheimer's, Parkinsonism, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, and chronic inflammatory diseases like sclerosis, multiple sclerosis. And the common etiological pathway is amyloidopathies, which is common in Alzheimer's as well as glaucoma, with P38 mark pathway with the common denominator. And it's all boils down to amyloid B and tau protein changes, which in turn induce retinal ganglion cell apoptosis in glaucoma. This reduced clearance of beta amyloid is responsible also for Alzheimer's disease. So you can, and this is again more relevant for the patients of glaucoma where despite the IOP control, the disease progresses, especially in normotensive glaucoma, where we never understood the first time why this is happening. The other new thing which has come up is the cholinergic transmission in brain and eye. And because of that, citicoline has been identified as being the responsible chemical messenger for signal transduction. Therefore, the experimental studies are ongoing regarding injection drops and oral medications for inhibiting amyloid deposition, protecting the retinal ganglion cell, and stimulating the dopaminergic system. So it's being used both for amblyopia, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and in glaucoma. However, it's experimental. So this is exciting that this neurological association is giving us some insights into glaucoma and treatment. The transneural degeneration is both anterograde and retrograde, and it involves the redox imbalance of the NOX4 and the inducible nitric oxide synthetase, and ultimately the impaired mitochondrial function. Demyelination of astrocytes has been now earmarked as the early treatment target for glaucoma. We had talked about OCT a decade ago. Now we're going to talk about the astrocyte demyelination, and the new imaging techniques are going to pick it up. Another system which is very novel has been identified, called as the glymphatic system. And this has been identified as the paravascular pathways for CSF exchange. And this dysfunctional system with reduced neurotoxin clearance, which includes beta amyloid, is the common denominator for Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and glaucoma. This again gives credence to the hypothesis where the CSF pressure is reduced in normotensive glaucoma. So this glymphatic system will explain both these aspects. Now, my other friends can argue that since both open angle glaucoma and Alzheimer's both are an aging disease, so it may be a coincidental finding that glaucoma is seen more in the Alzheimer's. However, many case control studies, and I picked up this one where you had 112 Alzheimer's patient and 116 age match controls. POG was far higher in the Alzheimer's group than the normal aging group. So, and this is the glymphatic pathway, which has been identified pretty much now as one of the mechanisms of glaucoma. So having talked about the neurological aspects of the common denominator, let's come to the psychological disturbances. Glaucoma definitely has a psychological impact, both anxiety and depression, social isolation, functional limitation, especially visual and mobility related, economic concerns, loss of relationship, anxiety about future. Our patients go through all of these, and it's no rocket science to tell us that they would have a anxiety or depression. Multiple studies have come up where they've quantified with the depression inventory scores and the sleep quality index that glaucoma not only causes depression and anxiety but causes tono disruption or sleep disturbances. And this severity of visual field damage and glaucoma progression is increased fourfold by this depression and this tono disruption. So these are all interlinked. And as well as the social dysfunction and the limited physical activity would reduce the mental health and the social health of the patient. So whenever as glaucomatologists we talk about the IOP and IOP alone, we have to remember We have to talk about the patient as a whole, and we have to take care of these problems in them. Not only is glaucoma related to neurological and to psychological aspects, even glaucoma suspects, if they have anxiety, more of anxiety in glaucoma suspect has been associated with development of glaucoma. Again, very interesting study that the progression of glaucoma was faster in patients categorized as high depression vis-a-vis low depression. And the rate of RNFL thinning was calculated to be fast. So obviously there is some chemical messenger at work, which is dealing with the loss of retinal ganglion cells as well as depression in the brain. So we've understood now that there's a vicious cycle where glaucoma diagnosis and psychiatric treatment, both medical and ECT, are linked. It can progress with psychiatric disorders. It can lead to psychiatric disorders. The medications of glaucoma itself can cause anxiety and depression, and the medical treatment for psychiatry can also cause glaucoma issues. This was a very interesting study where whenever a patient is able to comprehend about the issues of glaucoma, they would not only have better adherence, they would have a better quality of life, but this imparting of knowledge would reduce the psychological disturbance and ultimately control the disease far more than just the anti-glaucoma medication. So this became an independent factor of understanding of glaucoma. That is why, again, as doctors, it's important for us to teach our patients or tell our patients about that. Other disorders associated have been bipolar disorders, major depressive and schizophrenia with glaucoma have been associated, and it has been studied that almost 18% of psychiatric disorder patients have glaucoma. It's more common in females for anxiety, people residing in urban areas, unmarried people, education less than secondary school. Again, understanding of the glaucoma disease can cause psychiatric problems. Depression was related with mostly with males. Again, these are few studies, and again the common denominator is lack of education. So our clinical take on this is if you educate the patient about the disease, these issues will be taken care of. And the pathway has been identified as repetitive continual anxiety causes cholinergic transmission and affects the intraocular pressure and blood flow. The next aspect is medication. Psychotropic drugs are anticholinergic medications, will cause pupil dilatation, and they can make the patients at risk go into pupillary block glaucoma. The names are so many. The common ones are SSRI and TCA and antidepressants. This drug merits attention because it causes an idiosyncratic reaction, ciliary body swelling and anterior rotation, and that is a known cause of angle closure glaucoma. ECT therapy itself, although thankfully it's very rarely performed now, does cause glaucoma by not only by the medications used during anesthesia, but by increasing cerebral blood flow and venous pressure, therefore glaucoma. Blood pressure varies, therefore the glaucoma varies, but the ocular perfusion pressure changes. So the guidelines are that within 3 weeks of any surgery, if the patient is on ECT, you have to tell the psychiatrist not to give. And wherever possible, after multiple ECTs, try a visual field, especially after the first ECT, and use non-depolarizing muscle relaxants and provide adequate oxygenation. Again, the anti-epileptic drugs, again, will cause, like topiramate, can cause secondary ACG by acute myopia and maculopathy and ciliary effusion syndrome. Zonisamide and tropicamide are notorious for this. Some drugs have a cumulative effect over long-term use, and these like GABA-energic anti-epileptic drugs will cause RNFL loss. And Botox injection, if you give for facial regeneration, it can cause mydriasis sometimes by transmission, by local transmission. So these topiramate is again notorious for causing bilateral ACG. So patients on this drug for epilepsy, migraine, or psychiatry have to be monitored for this. What are the clinical implications? You have to integrate psychosocial care into current treatment of patient with glaucoma. In poor adherence situations, explore the psychological aspects. Patient education to reduce anxiety and depression. And lamina cribrosa marker is a potential biomarker because thinner lamina cribrosa has been linked to impaired cognitive function. And this new drug of ceticolin is a candidate for therapeutic moieties. Meditation, we all know, it increases the brain oxygenation, serum cortisol, could train the patients to do meditation, it would aid them. To complete the list, glaucoma masquerades. I won't cover the details of secondary glaucoma, but ischemic, compressive, and optic neuropathies are well known, and primary ventricular leukopenia. Neuropathy, 25% is more common, and followed by compressive, which are misdiagnosed. 1/4 of this cohort of patients had misdiagnosis of glaucoma, and when they come to us, we find that almost 20% have been misdiagnosed. This is a brief list of which type of neuropathies are mimicking glaucoma. PVL, it will be in a younger patient, and it will have horizontal cupping in superior optic nerve thinning, and because of secondary transsynaptic degeneration of retinal ganglion.
I'm really sorry to interrupt, ma'am, but the time has run out. If you could conclude, yes, please. Thank you so much. I'm sorry, ma'am.
When you go looking for these, when progressive disc and visual field damage happens despite IOP control, when this elevated IOP unresponsive to therapy rule out ocular tumors, and the red flags are this age younger than 50 years, poor visual acuity, neuroretinal rim pallor more than the cupping, and wherever the disc damage is not correlating with the visual field damage, pupil will give you a clue. However, this last message is that it's not worth it to keep looking for it in normotential glaucoma, because this study said that only 2 or 3 patients had neurological findings. So only if you have the red flags, do the imaging test. Thank you for a very patient hearing.